thing that went in my head when I stepped on the TEDx stage is, I can't believe that I'm here. I was thinking about it from a point of view that I've been thinking about this moment for a long time. I first got the idea of it in 2020. And when I got that idea, I was like, man, is this possible? The first thought that came to my head, I'm here. But it wasn't like a, I'm here, I've made it. It was like a, this is the first stage. I remember I was talking with my wife about this. And I was like, funny how the first time I actually start talking about my story in this big setting, I end up getting a TED Talk. And I'm working on a book, and I was working on a couple things coming after that. That moment felt bigger because of where I came from, A lot of guys don't get out of prison and end up on a TEDx stage. A lot of guys don't get out of prison and end up as a manager in a company. A lot of guys don't get out of prison and make it. A lot of guys fall back in the cycle of trying to get by, and they do a lot of things, or they try. And there's a lot of things that go wrong. Being on that stage showed me a lot of things that can go right. And the things that I talk about on there is just my story. It comes down to a point of, I realized that there's something that I've done in my life that's different than other people, because not everybody is where I am. I'm appreciative of my wife. I'm appreciative of my family for being there to support me through this entire journey, because without them, I wouldn't be here. I appreciate my pastor. I appreciate my relationship with God, because without that, I wouldn't be here. I'm constantly growing, and I'm willing to grow. And I think that that's the difference between the reason why that stage felt much bigger, that moment felt big, is because where I came from and the fact that I was willing to grow and allow change to happen in my life to get to that moment. 16 years ago, I would have never thought I'd be on stage. The reason why is because I looked at it from this point of view. 16 years ago, I was going into the moment. I think about it, I'm turning 41 this year. And when I went in, I was 24 years old. And I never thought I would end up on a TEDx stage talking about this. I thought my life was over. I didn't know what to think next, because I was living in the moment. I actually didn't even think I would make it out of that moment. And there was so much emotion when I was getting ready, because I was thinking about where I was 16 years ago. And it's like, man, I wasn't in a good place. The night before my TEDx talk, I felt normal. I'm a power lifter, so my mind's I can get into this zone of absolute focus, and the biggest thing that I worked on the night before and the day before and days leading up to it wasn't so much what am I gonna say, but more how am I going to say it. And I was trying to be impactful, but from the point of view, I was trying to transfer my emotion through my speech and have my emotion do the talking. The hardest part for me to share publicly has always been my prison story. It's an embarrassing moment because not everyone goes there. A lot of people went to college, a lot of people graduate university, and it's like, oh, where'd you go? Prison. And it's generally reserved for the people that do crime, right? And you end up there and you're like, it's not the place to talk about. So that will always be the hardest part to share publicly. I've felt disqualified in my past because of especially for any moment that I was in, because of my past. And then I got over it. I don't think like that anymore, because I do think that it's not about your past, it's about where you're willing to go and where you're willing to work to. You can, and I'm not trying to say you can outwork your past, because there's some pasts that are bad. No one's to judge. But when we're looking at the moment, it's easy to feel like you're disqualified in the moment because you're not qualified for that moment. So when that moment hits you, you're like, man, I don't feel like I'm the actual person for this moment. Not realizing that you are the actual person for the moment because of things that have happened in your life. And so for me, I think about that, because the things that disqualified me are the things that qualified me. Me going through my moments and getting to where I am shows the possibilities that it can happen for you, right? It doesn't need to be this whole, oh my gosh, this is the worst life ever. Standing on a TEDx stage actually represents to me a feeling of success, because I was able to get there. It's this moment where I'm able to tell my truth there. Like, and it's a platform where people will go to listen to. And it's not about, I hit a TEDx stage. It's more about the impact, because I agree. What is my idea worth spreading? Where's that idea going? Who's gonna hear it? And my idea worth spreading is the fact that it doesn't matter what happens in your life, you can make it. Things will happen. It's guaranteed. But the thing is that you can't let those things stop you from doing the things that you want to do, the things that you dreamt of. And a lot of times we allow things to stop us that aren't real. This life that we're living in, it's not all up here, but a lot of it is belief. It's the belief of how I feel that someone's going to think about me. It's the belief of how I feel about this person. And so what I have to do, and what I've realized, is that it's all up here. So the TEDx stage allowed me a stage to talk about the fact that it's all up here. And once you start reprogramming this, everything around you changes. But for a lot of people, they don't know how to reprogram this. So because they don't know how to reprogram this, nothing is changing. They're still talking about how this person did something to them, or this person's against them. And I get that people can be against you, but the reality is the more that you put focus on that, you can't create, because you're focusing on the little thing. And I say little thing, but it's a big thing. Moments happen in everybody's life, but it's up to you to define those moments. The idea of when my life started changing, it started changing the moment that I decided it was going to change. When I went inside, my life started changing when I made the decision back then to be like, I'm not going to allow this to stop me. Like, that was the one thing that when I came out, that's how I thought. I was not going to allow this to stop me. And I was willing to do the work to get past and beyond it. I would say what's the moment that I realized I can rebuild my life is when I was able to get leave. I remember watching different people go into prison, go into jail. And the one thing, the people that were able to become successful and I say success is one of those things to me that's defined by this is what I'm going to do. So here's my definition of success. Success is whatever it is that you intend to do, that you go out and do it and accomplish it. So if you intend to be the best personal trainer in the world, and then you do everything to make that happen, and then you accomplish it, that's success. If you intend to just be a personal trainer, and you do everything there is to accomplish it, that's success. The moment that you accomplish the thing that you say that you're going to do, that's defined for me as success. So I realized that my life would change because the moment that I stated, this is what I'm going to do, and then started doing the work. What does it look like to do the work? The thing about my TED Talk is that it didn't just happen. I had speaker coaches I went to different programs to learn how to speak. And then by the time that I ended up getting to talk, I've been working on this. There are tons of YouTube videos of me talking because I'm working on my craft. It's not about me talking right now to who's watching right now. It's me working on the skill set of communicating and transferring an idea and transferring emotion through my words. So this small stage that I'm at right now, when I look back on it, it's gonna be preparation. So the moment I realized that I was ready was the moment I decided that I was going to be ready. I think rebuilding yourself looks in real life, making decisions and then actually accomplishing it. I meet with people all the time that tell me they want to change their life. through fitness. Sit down with them and they tell me, I want to change my life. I want to get ready for a wedding, and I want to lose 30 pounds and I want to lose 40 pounds. And then I want to be strong. I want to look great. All these different goals. And then when it comes down to actually rebuilding themselves, they then say, no, I can't afford it. Or no, I can't do it. And I get it. Money is something that you have to spend, but you got to invest into yourself at some point. If you're not going to invest into yourself, who's going to invest into you? It's never about money. And I think the reason why people think with the money factor is because they're thinking dollar per hour. They're thinking about, I make this much per hour, therefore I'm spending this much time to get this thing. It's not worth it. But what you have to start thinking, like, well, this is what I thought about, is that it doesn't matter about cost. I need to learn how to do certain things. And I'm either going to pay in money or I'm going to pay in time. If those who don't have the time to make the money, you use your time to make money. Then once you have the time, once you have the money, they can start buying back your time. And once you have more time, then you use it to make more money. And that's what people are stuck in. What you have to understand is that time is way more important than money. So the money that you're spending to get more knowledge, to be able to get more time, that's where it is. So when I started and I said I'm going to be able to do this, I realized I can rebuild my life right from day one. And it was just straightforward that I'm willing to do the work, I can rebuild my life. I think that people think that it'll just happen. I don't have to do any work. And sit down with people, and no one wants to do work. If there was a weight loss drug that can remove all the weight off of you, and as a pill that you can take, would you take it? That's Ozempic. That's your GLP-1s. I'm not trying to talk bad about GLP-1s. I have clients that are on GLP-1s, but that's what that is. And that, without training, that's what people just want. They don't want to do the training. They just want the quick fix. So when it comes down to rebuilding, you don't want to go through it again. The hardest part about people rebuilding is they have to go through it again. You never stop going through it. That's why I said rock bottom is your starting point, because you're going to consistently hit some sort of rock bottom. The beginning of a mountaintop is the bottom of another ridge, right? You keep climbing mountains and you don't stop. I made it to the TEDx stage. I made it to the TEDx stage, but that's the bottom of the next mountain. Because you think I want to stop at a TEDx stage? I am appreciative of the moment that I had, but that's not where I'm stopping. And so for me, it comes down to this factor of people misunderstand rock bottom because they think that it's just a one-time event in their life. But it's defined as a lot of different events. It could be the traumatic events that happen in your life, but it can be the top of one mountaintop is the bottom of the next. Sports is the best analogy for this because there's only one champion every year. And then the season starts again and everyone's back at the bottom. That's rock bottom, right? It's not just the traumatic experience that happens in your life that's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened. I've lost everything. That happens, but what happens when you just have to reset? That's also rock bottom. It's a mentality. I don't think prison can teach anything to anybody. I think prison doesn't teach you anything. The only thing it teaches you is how to disappear. You disappear from time, right? Because time doesn't mean anything in there. You have tons of it. It's time. And times is this thing that ends up happening. Times I was incarcerated and I was thinking, I wish time could move faster. And one of the things that I found out is if I just focus on my routine and not focus on the time, it does move faster. So I just focused on my routines, and routines were very strict for me. Out in the morning, work, in the afternoon, work, in the evening, go to sleep, and talk on the phone to my wife every single day. I think what happens when men get into their 40s, feel lost because of who they were. You are in your teenage years, you're still figuring it out. In your 20s, you're still figuring it out. By the time you get to 30s, just really starting to figure it out. But what I find is that in most guys' 40s, someone put it like this: you need 3 places in life. You need your workplace, you need your home, and then you need some sort of hobby. A lot of men are missing that 3rd place, that hobby. And a lot of men are reverting that hobby to some sort of form of entertainment. So it's not a self-development hobby, it's an entertainment hobby. I'm going to go to play video games. I'm going to the bar. I'm going to spend all my time eating burgers at some burger shack, right? And it's like you're going to these places and you're like, this is my third place. But that third place isn't adding value to your life. You need to make sure that the third place that you're going to is adding value. So men are feeling lost at 40 because the fact that the third place that they're going to isn't adding value back to their life at all. Or they're not applying it. Maybe they're going to church and they're not listening. Or maybe they're going to the gym and just talking to women when they should be working out. I get into a workout, like powerlifting. Someone asked me today, here's an interesting one. Someone asked me today, did I have fun working out? I said no. It's like, oh, why? I have fun working out. I'm like, fun working out? Sometimes I'm just doing it because I have to, not because I want to. Like, I don't have fun working out. I work out because I have to do it. It's something that's healthy for me. Let's get the blood pumping. Let's move around. That's it. It's not, and if I make it some bigger deal than it is, and it's like I have to have fun, if I attach fun and excitement to exercise, that means I won't do it when it's not fun. I attach it to this needs to happen because it's just discipline. It just happens. It's a standard. So men feel lost because they don't have standards. They're just living and just doing whatever. I think what men need right now that no one is talking about, standards. And like, talking about standards, but the reality is that there's so much emphasis on wealth building in the male circle that realistically they're not talking about standards. What they're talking about is hustle. What they're all talking about is drive, and I get it, but the reality is that you need to have standards before you can do any of that stuff. The men that you're looking at who are successful in life, the Warren Buffetts, the Charlie Mungers, the people that invest a lot of money and are the movers and shakers, or whatever you want to call it, those people, in order for them to be successful, they have to have standards. The Michael Jordans, LeBron James, the Magic Johnsons, right? The Michael Jordans, the LeBron James, Mike Tysons. I think men struggle with purpose. They lack a purpose in life. They take jobs they're not purposeful. They take jobs based off how much they pay. So someone that's an electrical engineer or some trade, a lot of them are doing it for money. A lot of jobs people do for money, or they're trying to find the easiest job that doesn't require them to do the most amount of work so they can get paid. And some people are just trying to be entertained. Social media influencers getting on social media, be like, look at me, look what I did. Adding into the entertainment and the drowning of everything that's happening. I just want to be a content creator. I just want to go places so people can live vicariously through me. I get it, but the reality is that discipline, what's the purpose of that? It's just to add into the entertainment that people are having. What I would look at is, when it comes down to it, is that men are lacking purpose, which is why they have no discipline. Because discipline is doing the thing that you need to do, whether you want to do it or not. Purpose is something internal. And so it's something that's driving you. Like, what gets you waking up? It wakes you up in the morning. What is your purpose in life? If you can't figure out that purpose, then discipline means absolutely nothing. Men are struggling with purpose. I got out of prison. Imagine if I had no purpose, I would end up back in prison. Because I would have thought that I had no purpose. And because I had no purpose, I'm just going to do more crime. People with purpose can have discipline, but people without purpose, there's no such thing as discipline, because you have no purpose to have discipline for. After my TEDx was over, I thought about the next stage, and I was debriefing with one of my friends. He was also on a TEDx stage, and we talked about it. And it's like me, like, you just want to get that next thing, and yeah. Like I said, rock bottom is the starting point of the next mountain. And so it's like, TEDx stage didn't happen last year. It happened in 2020 when I started writing down my goals, stating that I'm going to be a TEDx speaker. Every single day on a lined piece of paper, I'm going to be a TEDx speaker. I'm going to be a TEDx speaker. And then applying to TEDx's, and then working on my delivery, working on speaking. And funny enough, I applied to this same TEDx 4 times, just the time I got it. Because at the end of the day, it was something I was willing to do and work on. But now that it's over, the next thing I'm thinking about is, what's the next thing I'm working on? Because I can't just, oh yeah, I was ahead, yeah. I can't do that. That's not how I work. It's the next climbing. What's next? The way I see myself after TED is that I'm a TEDx speaker. And it's not something that it's a great beginning. And this is where it's like, cool, what's the next thing? That's how I view it. It changes the way I see myself because, yeah, and it's not something that a lot of people accomplish. A lot of people, let alone a lot of people, can't just speak in front of people. I'm one of those people that walk up on stage and talk in front of people. I conquered that fear. And now I want to do it more because I want to be in front of people, because I want to change lives. I want to inspire people. I want to motivate people. I want to be in front. I want to help people because people need help. And like, if myself need help, I want to help me. The version of my younger self I think about is with the transition towards YouTube and everything. I always had a dream that I would be speaking on TV. And like, the way that I thought about it before was like a televangelist. And it was interesting. Maybe that might happen. Who knows? I thought about that and I'm like, wow, I'm one of those guys speaking. And this is just the beginning of where I'm going to speak. I've always wanted to speak. And I think that, like, I was in Bible college for 3 years. I always wanted to impact people. And I'm just trying to figure out my lane. Because while I'm trying to impact people, I also have a family I have to take care of. And like, for me, it's one of those things where I'm trying to figure it all out. But I'm no different than anyone else. It's like, you're figuring it out as you go along with it. The thing about life is that you have to make decisions, the things that you want to do, and start working on things from way before. I think in decades. So I think all right, I'm 40. By the time I'm 50, what skill am I going to be able to get paid for? As a personal trainer, I worked in decades. So it's like, great, I'm a personal trainer, but what am I going to make the most money in, personal training or management? Well, in management, I get to learn skill sets that are broader than just personal training. While I know the anatomy and I know how to train people and I know how to help people, I also know how to balance a sheet. I also know how to year-long plans and templates and think about from a point of view of perspective. I know how to lead. That's not something you just have to learn as a personal trainer, and that was free education. And I say free, but I paid for it with my time. So what would I tell the younger version of myself now is straight up, like, after your dreams, invest in Bitcoin sooner. 2014, man. Spend all your money. Invest it. Like, I know it's difficult to invest, but invest. Don't take so many credit cards. Take one, spend it on gas. Don't spend all your money. You're spending money on stupid stuff. Clothes, chains, shoes, because someone told you to. But guess what? Those clothes, chains, and shoes mean absolutely nothing now. And they're worth absolutely nothing. If you took that same money and invested into some stock anywhere, you would have been able to buy more chains, clothes, and shoes now than you could have then. At some point, you have to prepare for the future. At what point are you willing to? The whole reason that you quit smoking, was what? Because you said, I don't want to have to quit this later, so I might as well quit it now. So in the next 20 years, I told you you're going to be a millionaire by taking that same money that you're making at Foot Locker. And yeah, you're getting paid more than everyone else your age, but do you want to keep that up? Take that money, reinvest it, and live like you're broke. The mindset that you had was, when you were broke, you hustled. And you had no money, you worked hard. I get it. But if you want to be able to take that next leap, make sure you make your money work for you. At this point in my life, I think about my younger self, and I would stress that factor. I heard it, but I would stress it. I would say, especially now, it's easier than you think. But even then, I always wanted to save money, but it was always difficult because something would come up, or I would buy something I don't need, and then spend it, or would it pay off my credit cards? Like, give another example. Take that next year off of school. Earn that money from Foot Locker that you were at, okay? You're selling, you're a top salesperson, that's great. If you took 2 years off of school, 18, 19, 20, you lived at home and your parents didn't need the money. But here's the next thing. If you just help them pay off that mortgage, 18, 19, 20, and 20 go back to school, after that mortgage is paid off, you now take some money and now buy that condo. Now, instead of you paying rent, you're now getting people to pay you rent to live in the condo that you want to live in. And then that's where it starts. Now you're in school, but you're not too stressed about money because your parents are helping you, and also you're paying for it as well. And you're thinking now, invest, not how do I just spend more? Then you take that same money later on in life, you don't have to worry about going to prison now, because guess what? You now have responsibility. I think that was the biggest thing my younger self needed. It was just responsibility, and it was hard for me to look at it from responsibility. It just sat me down and told me, like, you want to be working at Foot Locker for the rest of your life? Do you want to be trading time for money? And I knew the concept of time and money, and I knew the concept that I wanted to make more. I remember at one point I said I never wanted to do sales, but I didn't even know why. And then once I got into sales, I was like, I only want to do sales, because I realized that sales is the only thing that can, if you want to make more money with your time, you can. Sales is the only place in the world where you can go like this. I make $50 an hour. That's amazing. I could turn my $50 an hour into $100 an hour just by sales. In terms of $100 an hour of work. Because what do you classify as work? Like, oh, this is work. No one's paying me on YouTube yet. So let's say I put in hours of talking to a camera. 3 years go by and I'm professional at this, giving speeches like this, left, right, and center. All of a sudden now I go back in, let's just say I go back in and I'm doing these speeches, but impact is happening now because I know how to be able to translate emotion through my speech. All of a sudden, I go from charging $400 to $1,500 a speech per hour, so $1,500 an hour for all this work, to $10,000, $20,000 an hour. All of a sudden now I'm doing courses and I'm giving out weekend workshops, and all of a sudden now I'm charging 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. What you make in a year in one workshop weekend, okay? Forward now, that same workshop weekend is now paying for right now where I'm not getting paid. The biggest thing I would tell my younger self is work on the skill set that you want to have in order now so you can actually live on it later. The biggest thing I hope people will take away from my TED Talk is the framework, my ATP framework, adaptability, tenacity, perspective. The reason why I want people to take that away is that is the three things that I utilize to rebuild. Adapt. I adapt to my surroundings. Every single time that a new surrounding comes, I adapt. Tenacity, I go after whatever it is that I say that I want to do. So success is the principle that I look at. Here's what success means. Whatever it is that I say that I'm going to do, I go out there and do it. Period. That's success to me, right? And when I say I'm going to do it, the reason why I'm going to do it is because I said I was going to do it. Until I do it, success has not been accomplished. And you either want to win or you don't. That's tenacity. Tenacity is I'm going to make this happen, right? And then the last thing is perspective, is understanding that time is a real thing. And at the end of the day, you're living through this, whatever it is that you want to do. So if you're like, I want to go after my dream, then it's going to be the best as soon as you start something. Like, the funny thing about prodigies and people and kids that are like kids, right? Like Beethoven, Mozart, you see these 5 and 8 year olds playing, wow, they're amazing, all this stuff, right? Geniuses. Bobby Fischer, the chess guy, LeBron James, the basketball player, the 17-year-old phenom. The thing about those guys is that they are outliers. And if you were them, you would be them. You are, and it's not a bad thing to be an outlier. but you're not an outlier. You're an outlier in certain circumstances, but in this circumstance that I'm talking about, you're not. And so at that point, you have to understand that how do I get my goals, my dreams out? I'm gonna have to work. Now they had to work too, because they were obsessed with something at a young age. They were willing to play the piano, willing to do it. Sometimes they're willing to do it until like the perfectionists and want to work on it. You don't need to have that, but you do need to have some sort of like gumption to go after it. What I want people to get from my TED Talk is that adaptability, tenacity, perspective, is understanding the time that it's going to take to get the goal that you want. Here's the number one thing that I do with people, okay? I sit down with someone, they tell me that their goal is to lose 20 pounds. I say, how long, when do you want to do that by? They give me some unrealistic number, 3 weeks. Is it possible to lose 20 pounds in 3 weeks? Yes. Is it healthy? Not really. So at that point, I realized that might not be the right thing for you. It might be something you want to do, but let me talk to you about the health factor, because that's what I care about. I can be like, yeah, you lose 20 pounds in 3 weeks and then you'll come back. I'm about making sure that you never have to come back for that same goal. We're talking about other goals. So I give them the perspective of how long this goal is going to actually take. I go to Google and I just look it up. Here's how much it is. I know how much it is, but I want to show them this is how you do this. You don't know? Google it. Like doing it right in front of you, I'm showing you how. I know, but it's not about if I know, it's about me teaching. And right away I'm teaching them, here's how you find these things. Okay. It's perspective. It's helping people see that 20 pounds you want to lose might not happen in 3 weeks. That what it says on Google when you check it out, it's the average person will lose half a pound to a pound a week. Male, female, I just narrow it down to half a pound to a pound. Okay, 20 pounds weeks or 40 weeks. So that means you can lose it in 20 to 40 weeks. Can it be faster? Maybe. If it's slower, we got to ask them what's happening. It's probably an adherence problem. That's it. That's the conversation. I set up clarity right from the consultation. All right. So if someone watching this feels like their life is falling apart right now, what would you tell them? Your life is not falling apart. Okay. Life's not falling apart till you say it is. Your life is starting to become something different. We have caterpillars. And the caterpillars are putting a bunch of nets up and all this stuff. And one of the things about these caterpillars, one of the things it says is that when the caterpillar is about to turn into a chrysalis or put itself into a web, it drops some red poo. And then it's going to turn into a chrysalis and then a cocoon. And then once it erupts, it's going to become a butterfly. Okay, seeing that caterpillar putting those webs and doing everything, it looks very messy. When you see that butterfly, it looks majestic. A lot of times when it feels like your world is falling apart, and it feels messy, in that mess, you're about to build that chrysalis. You're about to build that cocoon. You got to go through that mess first, whatever it is. Like, that's the thing. What I want you to understand is that your world could be falling apart right now. You just gotta go through it. There's one day at a time. Don't focus on the big picture yet. Focus on the one day. And one day, focus on your routines. Shrink your stuff down to this. Because the thing for me, when I was in prison, if I focused on the entirety of my sentence, I wouldn't have liked it. It was something like 1,420 days, something like 1,480 days, something like that. If I focused on that, oh my gosh, 30 hours, can't focus on that. So what I have to focus on is day one. What's my routine? My routine stayed the same every day until the day I got out. Even when I got out, my girlfriend saw my routine. I was very She's on a side note, she always tells me, like, what happened to the guy who came out of prison? He was so clean. And I tell her, I didn't have a job and a family and everything. That guy was clean because the fact that he just came out of prison. He was so structured. And I'm not a lack of structure now. It's just that my brain is now focusing on so many other things. And my idea of cleaning is like everything, but I would much rather pay someone to do it. I want to create a job for somebody, because realistically, cleaning is one of those things where it's not beneath me, but if people are willing to do it for money, I want to make so much money that I can, here you go, you clean. Thank you. And I don't want to just pay them a bit, I want to pay them well. Okay. Anyways, if someone's watching my TED talk, what I want them to feel right now is understand that you're going to go through this life. Things are going to happen. Like the butterfly, you're going to go, it's going to be messy. Then this is going to start ending. Once that mess starts ending, you can wrap yourself in that cocoon. Insulate yourself yourself and start working on whatever it is you need to work on. The thing about the butterfly is cool is that you don't see what they're working on in that cocoon. You just know there's a cocoon around them. Like, you don't need to cut off your social media or anything, but start working on some stuff. And then once you open up and release that cocoon, you're coming out as a butterfly. You're coming out on top. Adaptability, tenacity, perspective. Have those three things. I guarantee you're going to be able to accomplish anything you want in this world.
16 years ago, I was sitting outside a courthouse with my friend. He looked at me and asked, "What are you thinking about?" I told him, "Is this where my story ends?" We got out of the car, walked into the courthouse. I hugged my parents one last time. I sent a text